Is that folk music that you play there? What is that? How do you call that folk music?
I think it was Studs Terkel who asked Big Bill Broonzy, did he consider his blues music to be folk music? And Big Bill says, well, never heard no horses.
Don't hesitate. It could be your ticket to a new tomorrow.
Aft on the poop deck, walking all about, there's a second mate so steady and so stout. What he's a-thinking he knows not himself. We wish that he would hurry up and strike the bell, second mate. Let us go below. Look, well to windward you can see it's going to blow. Look at the glass, you will see that it is fell. We wish that you would hurry up and strike the bell. Down on the main deck, working at the pumps, there's the larboard watch just longing for their bunks. They look to the windward and see a great swell. They're wishing that the second mate would strike the bell, second mate. Let us go below. Look, well to windward you can see it's going to blow. Look at the glass, you will see that it is fell. We wish that you would hurry up and strike the bell. Aft at the wheel, poor Anderson stands, grasping at the spokes with his cold and mittened hands. He looks at the compass, the course is sure and well. He's wishing that the second mate would strike the bell, second mate. Let us go below. Look, well to windward you can see it's going to blow. Look at the glass, you will see that it is fell. We wish that you would hurry up and strike the bell. Forward on the forecastle, keeping sharp lookout, there's Johnny standing ready for to shout. The lights are burning bright, sir, and everything is well. He's wishing that the second mate would strike the bell, second mate. Let us go below. Look, well to windward you can see it's going to blow. Look at the glass, you will see that it is fell. We wish that you would hurry up and strike the bell. Aft on the quarterdeck, our gallant captain stands, staring at the sea with a spyglass in his hands. What he's a-thinking we all know very well. He's thinking more of shortening sail than striking the bell, second mate. Let us go below. Look, well to windward you can see it's going to blow. Look at the glass, you will see that it is fell. We wish that you would hurry up and strike the bell, second mate. Let us go below. Look, well to windward you can see it's going to blow. Look at the glass, you will see that it is fell. We wish that you would hurry up and strike the bell. Thank you.
All right, all right, all right. The show is Horses Sing None of It. My name is Ralph Litwin, and our guest today is, interestingly, Strike the Bell,
Thank you. It's
which
good
you
to be
introduced in
here.
this
We
in the
sailed
song.
a long way to come here. All the way from the Isle of Long. Yes.
And Strike the Bell is Stuart Marcus and Judith Vyman.
Correct. That song from which we took our name is actually a traditional one, and it stems from the fact that on board a ship, especially in the old days, time was kept by ringing a bell. There was an hourglass, and every half hour the bell would strike. 1 bell for a half hour, 2 bells for an hour, 3 bells for 90 minutes, up until the end of a 4-hour work shift or watch. And if you were in the last half hour of the watch in which you were on duty and you saw a storm brewing, well, you were hoping to hear that 8 bells strike before before the officers noticed and there was a whole lot of work to do.
I see.
Yes. People were lazy back then as they are now.
What are you ready to give us now?
You want to introduce this one?
No, you can introduce
All right.
it.
Well, this is a capstan shanty. A capstan was sort of the vertically oriented winch.
As opposed to the vertically oriented wench.
Right. It had sort of bars sticking out of it that the sailors would get behind and push it around, and that would be used to sort of winch up the ship's anchor.
Yeah, I can't do my little ballet today because otherwise we'll be all entangled in our wires.
This is one called Paddy Lay Back, and frequently sea shanties were a way that sailors could complain, gripe, vent a little bit without getting into too much trouble. So this is one of those songs. Oh, once there was a great demand for sailors. For the colonies, for Frisco and for France.
And for France.
I signed aboard a limey bark, the Hotspur.
The Hotspur.
Got paralytic drunk on my advance.
My advance.
Paddy lay back,
Paddy lay back.
take in the slack.
Take in the slack.
Take a turn around the capstan, heave a pawl, about ship stations, boys be handy.
Handy.
We're bound for Valparaiso around the Horn. 'Twas on the quarter deck that I first saw 'em. Such an ugly bunch you'd never seen before. The skipper slipped the Shanghai crew, a Dutchman.
A Dutchman.
It made me poor old heart feel sick and sore.
Sick and sore.
Paddy lay back,
Paddy lay back.
take in the slack.
Take in the slack.
Take a turn around the capstan, heave a pawl, about ship stations, boys be handy.
Handy.
We're bound for Valparaiso around the Horn. There was Germans and Africans and Russians.
Russians.
Johnny Crapos just across from France.
Cross from France.
And most of them never heard a word of English.
Of English.
But answered to the call of Month's Advance.
Month's advance.
Paddy lay back,
Paddy lay back.
take in the slack.
Take in the slack.
Take a turn around the capstan, heave a pawl, about ship stations, I'd be handy.
Handy.
We're bound for Valparaiso around the Horn. I estimate a which a watch is mine, oh.
Mine,
So
oh.
see, I'll show you which a watch is which.
Which?
He blew me down and kicked me hard astern, oh.
Astern,
And called me a dirty, lousy son of a
What?
fish. Paddy lay back,
Paddy lay back.
take in the slack.
Take in the slack.
Take a turn around the capstan, heave a pawl, about ship stations, boys be handy.
Handy.
We're bound for Valparaiso around the Horn. Now some of the other sailors had been drinking.
Drinking.
I myself was heavy on the booze.
On the booze.
I sat down on me old chest a thinking.
A thinking.
To turn into me bunk and have a snooze.
Have a snooze.
Paddy lay back,
Paddy lay back.
take in the slack.
Take in the slack.
Take a turn around the capstan, heave a pawl, about ship station, boys be handy.
Handy.
We're bound for Valparaiso around the Horn. I quickly made me mind up I should jump her.
Jumper.
Leave the beggar and get a job ashore.
Job ashore.
I swam across the bay, I went and left her.
He left her.
And in the English bar I found it lady to spend some time with. Paddy lay back,
Paddy lay back.
take in the slack.
Take in the slack.
Take a turn around the capstan, heave a pawl, about ship station, boys be handy.
Handy.
We're bound for Valparaiso around the Horn. 'Twas a cold, windy morning in December.
December.
Found that all me money it was spent.
It was spent.
And where the heck it went I can't remember.
Remember.
So once again and off to sea I went.
See he went.
Paddy lay back,
Paddy lay back.
take in the slack.
Take in the slack.
Take a turn around the capstan, heave a pawl, about ship station, boys be handy. Handy, we're bound for Valparaiso around the Horn.
All right.
Thank you.
Now you are artist in residence at the Long Island Nautical Museum.
Long Island Maritime Museum, yes, it's been there for about 30 years or so.
We
And,
haven't,
they've-
but it has.
It has, yes. They have a wonderful seafood festival. They have a pirate festival in June that we'll be singing at. A few other events, but they're dedicated to to talking about and preserving Long Island's maritime heritage, which there was quite a bit of it actually back in the day. Towns like Northport and Port Jefferson were known as shipbuilding towns. There were whaling fleets based in Cold Spring Harbor and Sag Harbor, and Freeport was known for building rum-running boats, but that was much later. And so they have us in to sing. We've done some. There's the Cold Spring Harbor Whaling Museum that we've sung at, and we do events here and there as well, wherever we can.
Great. What do you have for us next?
Well, I'd like to do one.
Do a song about President Zachary Taylor.
Yes. It starts out as a bit of a history lesson and turns into a drinking song, which
That's all good sea shanties.
two of my favorite topics, as a matter of fact. So. General Taylor gained the day, walk him along, John, carry him along. And General Taylor gained the day, carry him to his burying ground. To me way stormy, walk him along, John, carry him along. To me way stormy, carry him to his burying ground. General Taylor died long ago, walk him along, John, carry him along. He's gone to where the winds don't blow, carry him to his burying ground. To me way stormy, walk him along, John, carry him along. To me way stormy, carry him to his burying ground. They dug his grave with a silver spade, walk him along, John, carry him along. His shroud of finest silk was made, carry him to his burying ground. To me way stormy, walk him along, John, carry him along. To me way stormy, carry him to his burying ground. We lowered him down on a golden chain, walk him along, John, carry him along. On every link we carved his name, carry him to his burying ground. To me way stormy, walk him along, John, carry him along. To me way stormy, carry him to his burying ground. I wish I was General Taylor's son, walk him along, John, carry him along. I'd build me a ship of 1,000 ton, carry him to his burying ground. To me way stormy, walk him along, John, carry him along. To me way stormy, carry him to his burying ground. A beautiful ship of 1,000 ton, walk him along, John, carry him along. And I'd fill her up with New England rum, carry him to his burying ground. To me way stormy, walk him along, John, carry him along. To me way stormy, carry him to his burying ground. I'd give a tot to every man, walk him along, John, carry him along. And a double tot to the shanty man, carry him to his burying ground. To me way stormy, walk him along, John, carry him along. To me way stormy, carry him to his burying ground. Thank you.
All right. We should let folks know how they can find out more about your recording and your appearances.
Well, we have a website. They didn't have many websites back in the 1800s, but we had one of the first.
That's right.
www.strikethebell.com. All one word. You can also email us at strikethebell@aol.com.
You both had interesting stories about how you got interested in this music.
Yeah, well, she started out.
I guess I can go first.
Yeah.
I was doing this before you were. Well, my mother actually started singing things like "What Shall We Do with a Drunken Sailor" to me when I was an infant.
It's the perfect song to sing to a
Absolutely.
toddler.
And then I was a guitar workshop brat, and I studied with Jeff Warner and Jeff Davis, and used to attend the Tuesday night sings, and developed a real taste for maritime music. And so I've been singing this stuff for a long time, and then Stuart and I met each other back at the Long Island music scene,
And I had sailed on tall ships. I'd always been fascinated with them since I was a kid. And I'd actually sailed on one called the HMS Rose, which was based in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It's a replica of a 1750s vintage British frigate, one of the smaller ships, warships of her day. But you could sign aboard her, pay your money rather than get paid, but they'd teach you everything that you wanted to know about sailing a tall ship, including climbing the mast, taking a turn at the helm, setting and furling sails.
I just sing about it. He actually has done it.
Right, and so she would, we met each other, and just in getting to know each other, she mentioned that she knew about a bunch of sea shanties, and I knew a couple, but was interested in learning more. So she would teach them to me, and I'd sort of teach her what they meant. And occasionally she'd sing one, and I'd start to chuckle, and she'd be like, "What?" And I'd say, "Well, it's sort of a sailor's joke contained within the words that no one else would get."
And then it turned out that Stuart had written a sea shanty and didn't know it.
Yes,
back when he was on the HMS Rose. So.
About my sailing days, yes. This is called Brush Your Teeth in Brine. We signed aboard the hell ship Rose to sail the raging sea. We signed away our hard-earned pay to live in slavery. To climb the mast, to ride the waves and breathe the salty air. We got no sleep, our bodies ached, but still we didn't care. So brush your teeth in brine, me boys, brush your teeth in brine. And if you think your gums are bleeding, take a look at mine. And just make sure you ask me before casting off that line. So brush your teeth in brine, me boys, brush your teeth in brine. Our water started getting low just 4 days underway. It seemed that some landlubbers had to shower every day. When asked to stop, they gave to us a shocked, astonished stare. I'd rather die of thirst than miss a day to wash my hair. So brush your teeth in brine, me boys, brush your teeth in brine. And if you think your hair is greasy, grab a lock of mine. And just make sure you ask me before casting off that line. So brush your teeth in brine, me boys, brush your teeth in brine. They lined the great Cape Cod Canal to greet us from the sea. And in response we fired our guns and shelled them mercilessly. But every time we opened up, they cheered us from the shore. If we'd used our grape and chain shot, they'd have only loved us more. So brush your teeth in brine, me boys, brush your teeth in brine. And if you think your pits are smelling, grab a whiff of mine. And just make sure you ask me before casting off that line. So brush your teeth in brine, me boys, brush your teeth in brine. From Bridgeport back to Newport and from sea to shining sea, we'll sail the globe reminding folks how sailing used to be. And if we ever tire of all the hard work and abuse, just think how boring it would be to take a pleasure cruise. So brush your teeth in brine, me boys, brush your teeth in brine. And if you think your rack is lonely, take a look at mine. And just make sure you ask me before casting off that line. So brush your teeth in brine, me boys, brush your teeth in brine. So brush your teeth in brine, me boys, brush your teeth in brine. And if you think your hair is greasy, grab a lock of mine. And just make sure you ask me before casting off that line. So brush your teeth in brine, me boys, brush your teeth in brine. Thank you. It might be worth mentioning that if anybody saw the movie Master and Commander with Russell Crowe, that was the ship, the HMS Rose. Sailed in that movie, and she's now berthed out on the West Coast, like the San Francisco Maritime Museum or something like that.
Cool. You talk about common everyday expressions that came from the seafaring
Yes,
roots.
an awful lot of them did.
Stuart's specialty.
One of my favorites is loose cannon. You talk about a person that's a loose cannon in an organization. Well, on a wooden warship, if a cannon broke loose, it weighed a couple of tons. It was on a carriage that would roll back and forth with the sea and do incredible amounts of damage inside a ship. So that's a good one. Taken aback means, if the wind suddenly shifts where they're suddenly coming from in front of the sails instead of behind them, well, your ship will come to a crashing halt, even do some damage. So nowadays we say someone's taken aback when they're just so totally caught by surprise they can't even say anything next. There's a whole bunch of them.
Cup of Joe.
Cup of Joe, yes. Well, sailors used to be given a daily ration of rum, a half a pint neat. That's the amount in like one of those little milk cartons that you get when you're in school. And Well, the U.S. Navy went dry around World War I, and the admiral in charge of the Navy, the chief of staff, was one named Josephus Daniels, and he outlawed rum, and the sailors were not too fond of him, so they started drinking coffee instead to help keep warm and have a little bit of a lift. But they named it after him. They called it a Cup of Joe after Admiral Josephus Daniels.
Very interesting.
Yep.
What else would you like to sing for us?
Well, you know, there's another term, groggy, which comes from the same place. Grog was a mixture of rum and water. If they drank their rum too fast, it would, they'd get too drunk. But if they mixed it with water, well, for one, they had to sort of ration it to themselves over the course of a day, or it would go bad if they had saved it for too long. But today we say someone is groggy if he's had just a little bit too much to drink. We're going to do one called South Australia, about sailing to South Australia.
Yeah, you're going to
Gonna
join us on that?
Yes,
Ralph?
indeed.
Excellent. I'm going to grab my guitar, too.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good plan.
Always a fun place to sail to. Ready? 2, 3, 4. In South Australia I was born, away, all the way, South Australia round Cape Horn, down to South Australia, all the way you're rolling Cape, away, all the way, it's all the way you'll hear me sing, we're bound to South Australia. As I walked out the morning fair, away, all the way, 'cause there I met Miss Nancy Blair, bound for South Australia. All the way you're rolling Cape, away, all the way, it's all the way you'll hear me sing, we're bound for South Australia. I rollicked her up, I rollicked her down, away, all the way, I rollicked her all around the town, bound for South Australia. All the way you're rolling Cape, away, all the way, it's all the way you'll hear me sing, we're bound for South Australia. If there's one thing that grieves me mind, away, all the way, it's leaving Nancy Blair behind, bound for South Australia. All the way you're rolling Cape, away, all the way, it's all the way you'll hear me sing, we're bound for South Australia. And when we're on some foreign shore, away, all the way, we'll miss those girls that we adore, we're bound for South Australia. All the way you're rolling Cape, away, all the way, it's all the way you'll hear me sing, we're bound for South Australia. All the way you're rolling Cape, away, all the way, it's all the way you'll hear me sing, we're bound for South Australia. Thank you.
Very nice.
By the way, we do school programs with these sort of things and talk about some of the terms of the sea. Sometimes we'll get into geography, and if anyone's interested, you can contact us through the website about that too.
And that website again is
www.strikethebell.com or strikethebell@aol.com.
.com.
Okay, I think we have time for one more song.
We do.
One more, all right.
All right, shall
So
we?
you want to do
Mermaid?
the mermaid? Yes.
Yeah.
Sighting a mermaid was considered very bad luck to the sailors, Hans Christian Andersen and the Little Mermaid to the contrary, because no sailor had ever seen a mermaid and come back to talk about it, so mermaids were considered dangerous. This is a tale about one ship that sighted a mermaid. 'Twas Friday morn when we set sail, and we were not far from the land, when the captain spied a lovely mermaid with a comb and a glass in her hand, and the ocean waves do roll, and the stormy winds do blow, and we poor sailors go skipping to the top while the landlubbers lie down below, 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 while the landlubbers lie down below. Then up spoke the first mate of our gallant ship, and a well-spoken man was he, saying, I have 2 sons in Salem by the sea, but tonight they orphans shall be, and the ocean waves do roll, and the stormy winds do blow, and we poor sailors go skipping to the top, while the landlubbers lie down below, 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 while the landlubbers lie down below. Then up spoke the cabin boy of our gallant ship, and a sweet young lad was he, saying, I have 2 parents in London on Thames, but tonight they shall mourn for me, and the ocean waves do roll, and the stormy winds do blow, and we poor sailors go skipping to the top, while the landlubbers lie down below, 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 while the landlubbers lie down below. Then 3 times round spun our gallant ship, and 3 times round spun she, and 3 times round spun our gallant ship, and she swam to the bottom of the sea. And the ocean waves do roll, and the stormy